Hey guys, welcome to the panel about influencer marketing, lessons of publishers, agencies and influencers of how to promote your game on YouTube and Twitch. My name is Camille. I'm one of the co-founders of Nevaly, an influencer marketing agency, and I'll shortly present the panel as well. But before we start going into the topic, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what we're going to go through today. So the main goal of this session is to give you insights on more efficiently working with influencers, specifically on YouTube and Twitch, whether you have a lot, no, or a mid-sized marketing budget. So what topics are we going to talk about today? First, a quick introduction about why influencer marketing in general, what's relevant about it, and why is it so important. And then with the panelists, we're going to discuss 3 different topics. The first one will be finding the right influencers, the second one communicating with influencers, and the third one success factors of influencer marketing. If we have some time at the end, we'll do a short Q&A sessions. If not, approach the panelists at the end of the talk. So why influencer marketing? Influencer marketing has this stigma of, or YouTube in general has the stigma of being something that young adolescents from 13 to 20-year-olds watch, but actually that's not true. There's over 500 million gamers that watch YouTube content, that watch gaming YouTube content, and that's more than half of the gamers around the world. And it's also not the 13 to 18 years old that watch it. On average, it's still male, but 60% male and 40% female, so a lot of females watching YouTube as well. It's 28 years old, and it's high-income people. In general, on YouTube itself, most of the content, 53%, is produced by influencers and not by brands. Of course, there's big brands bringing out big trailers, big gameplay stuff, but it's still the influencers that are making the medium. And finally, why influencer marketing? Simply because do you prefer watching something like this, or do you prefer watching this? So let's go into the panelists. We have 4 panelists here today. We have Michael, Alex, Jud, and Martin. The goal was to find a panel well-rounded with publishers, with influencers, and with agencies working with influencers. I'll leave each and individual member of the panel to introduce themselves shortly to the crowd.
Okay, so I'm Alexandre Grimonpont, and I'm publishing producer for iRest Studios. So if you don't know the company, brief introduction for you. We were founded in 2005, and we are focusing on creating and developing free-to-play games, multiplayer games. We created Global Agenda, then Tribes Ascend, and now Smite, which is a third-person MOBA, accessible on console and PC. We are having now more than 20 million players, and regarding all the games, Paladins, which is a free-to-play first-person shooter, we now have more than 5 million players. The last addition to the portfolio for games, Smite Tactics, End of the Court, the name just changed 2 days ago, is a card game, tactical game, free-to-play also, and is on closed beta right now on PC. About myself, maybe just a little bit. I started in the gaming industry now more than 10 years ago, even if I'm 27, so that's weird. But as a competitive and pro gamer on FPS mainly. And then I founded a company that were taking care of the contracts regarding shortcasting and production of esports events. And I recently switched to iRest Studios, where I am taking care of PR, influencer marketing, content marketing, events, and the social media strategies for the company, at least for EMEA.
Thanks. Michael?
Yeah, hello. I'm Michael SCHADE, CEO of Rockfish Games. We are actually not a publisher. I just learned I'm here to present the publishers. Interesting. Thank you. Or
developer.
I don't know. So
Publisher/developer.
Yeah. So we're a small studio from Germany. We're 10 guys. And we just released Everspace, which is a roguelike space shooter on PC and Xbox One, September last year. We're gonna hit full release next week on Friday, so pretty exciting time right now. I work a lot with influencers, so that's maybe the reason why I'm here today. Prior to that, I founded and ran Fish Labs. You might have come across Galaxy on Fire on mobile devices, the free mobile game shooter, 30 million installs. So that's where we're coming from. And for us, it was this whole Twitch influencer YouTuber thing was completely new 2 years ago when we started, but it helped us tremendously for our Kickstarter campaign, where we raised almost $500,000 US.
Thanks, Martin.
Hey guys, I'm Martin, and I'm a recovering EVE Online addict, unfortunately.
That's okay.
I also played Everspace, and I'm also a former expert in French troubadour singers from the 12th century. In 2014, I met a bunch of YouTube stars, and ever since I've represented these wonderful people as their manager and as head of Gonzo Media, which is a sort of advertisement agency with a lot of YouTube talent attached. And we're also a media planning agency, you know. So we do lots of things, but the core of Gonzo is the YouTube stars, who deal with subjects as diverse as lifestyle, fashion, beauty, and of course gaming.
Thank you. Jud?
All right. Hey everybody, I'm Jud. I am a YouTuber. Been a YouTuber for about 6 years, and I've got a little over 1 million subscribers. Somehow have managed to make a living playing video games extremely poorly, and my parents are very proud of me.
Cool, thanks. Martin, you're connecting basically the influencer side and the client side, the developers and the publishers. In general, why do you think influencer collaborations are so important, both for the influencers and for the clients?
Well, I remember when we started back in 2014, I worked exclusively with gamers, you know, because that's what was close to my heart. And one of our first campaigns was we went up to Ubisoft in Denmark and said, "Hey guys, would you like us to promote your new game, The Crew?" Right? And at that time, we had no idea what we were doing. But what we did was we created what we would later call a cross-platform influencer campaign, which included web banners on various gaming websites, a Twitch live stream with the 5 biggest gaming YouTubers in Denmark, a number of videos which was kind of spun off from the live stream, you know, and Facebook posts and Instagram posts, and Snapchat didn't exist back then. But so that was like our first taste of what we could do with this, you know, and the game got off to a great launch in Denmark because we had tens of thousands of young Danish people watching the YouTube stars playing that game, you know, together and having fun. So, and kudos for Ubisoft for buying into that at that stage, because it was very, very, you know, experimental. But it really works, you know, because you kind of, for us as an agency, we do 2 things. First of all, we kind of interface with the brands. And then we act as a creative agency in terms of helping the YouTube stars translate what the brands want into entertainment, you know, entertaining videos. And then we act as talent managers of the YouTubers. We kind of protect the YouTubers from the brands. At the same time, everybody wants to make money, you know. So and usually the videos that we're involved in usually get more views than the YouTubers' native videos. And I think that's because we are a little stricter. We kind of make the formats a little tighter than the YouTube guys usually do themselves, and so people are almost always excited to see new kinds of content on their favorite YouTube channels, you know. Also, I would like to at this point say that I really hate the word influencer, because it sounds like something you need cream for, you know. But because for me, we work with creators, you know, we work with talent or creative guys like this one. We work with video makers, you know.
And also from the consumer perspective, you want to be influenced.
Yeah, the whole thing, the influencer thing is kind of something that happens like as a little aside, you know, to the main thing, which is to create video content. So there you go. No influencers here.
Michael, you said before that the influencer side or the creator side, the talent side, was actually something that helped you tremendously with the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Can you explain a bit more, first of all, how you managed to steer the activity around it, if you did at all, and how it happened?
Well, actually, I didn't steer it that much. And as I said at the beginning, when in 2015 we were prepping the Kickstarter for Everspace, yes, I heard about YouTubers and streamers and whatnot, and I think I joined one of those super popular WoW streams, and everybody was chatting and blah blah. What the fuck is going on here? Seriously, people are watching somebody else playing a game. What's the point? I didn't get it at all. So I left it aside, said, okay, it's kind of important. Okay, I get that. I have no clue how to do this. So we were focusing on making Everspace in a prototype stage as good as possible. We invested a lot into really great visuals. So we had gameplay, nothing that was accessible outside of the studio, but we made sure that all our trailers were showing actual gameplay footage. With that, we did a Steam Greenlight campaign, and that created, I think, 70,000 votes or something, with 89% yes. So that was pretty good, we've been told. And from that moment on, YouTubers and streamers contacted us if they can have access to the game, which we said, well, we put you on the list. It's too early at that stage. So we built up a pile of potential YouTubers and streamers that would love to cover the game. Then we did our Kickstarter, and even then we didn't feel comfortable enough like giving it away, but we still kept them. And some of those guys who saw it prior to the Kickstarter, actually they backed us. So they paid for the alpha access. And something I learned there, the alpha is the most precious release that you have, because it's the first time that you give out the game. So then you have to make sure that it's as good as possible. So that's why we did it at a fairly late stage. And once we gave away the Steam keys, we weren't live on Steam yet, but you can use the keys. We gave it to those streamers and YouTubers, and they started covering the game. And I started not really managing them, but I checked all the streams. I visit them, say, hey, the devs are here. And I think this is the moment, if you don't have a budget, but you do have time, and usually as an indie studio, you have time, still doing the game though, but you don't have a big budget like the big guys. But what you can do is, like, you can show passion, you can join those streams, say, hey, the devs are here, do you have any questions? The streamers appreciate it because it makes their stream special. And also the audience appreciates, so the devs are here, we can ask questions, you be very open, authentic. Plus, during the time when I was joining those chats, I tweeted about those streams. Say, hey, this is a cool stream. I took a snapshot, made sure that the tweet had an image, so it really resonates. It's not just text. Put up the right hashtags, indie dev game, obviously our title and that. And then said, the devs are here, ask us anything. And that gives you the extra amount of attention.
Okay. I guess that works also because you had a lot of organic interest from the start for the game. I've had an interesting conversation with Jud this morning where you were saying you get tons of emails a day, and you can only pick the ones that really stand out. And you said from just a screenshot, you can most of the times judge if you think that's going to be a success or if that's going to work on your channel or not.
Absolutely. After doing this for so many years, you kind of get a good concept of what's going to translate well on YouTube or on Twitch. You know, if it's a game where it's super deep and super interesting and there's a story and there's tons of stuff that you can do in it, but all of the graphics and text are microscopic, which there's a lot of great games like that out there, I'll turn that down because most of my viewers are watching it, 60% plus are watching it on a mobile device. So that game's just not going to translate over. If it's a bright, colorful game, I can tell, you know, or if it has a very unique art style, or if it just has that, what I call YouTube gold, which is, I don't know, you can tell this game is going to be very, very popular, at least amongst like the YouTube entertainment circle. A game that allows the content creator to really be themselves and express themselves while they're playing, instead of just saying, okay, fellas, here's this game, I'm going to play it. Okay, now I've played it. You know, okay. So it's something that you can integrate. You know, you hate influencer. I hate the term content creator. That's like saying a chef is a food maker. right? I'm an entertainer. So to be able to put my flavor, my stamp on a game as I'm recording it is really what I look for. And yeah, by now I can tell in a screenshot. If you send an email to a content creator, a YouTuber, at least a screenshot. If you can, do like an animated GIF of action in the game. Attach a video of if it's a trailer or gameplay or whatnot. Anything that I can just tell, or a content creator can tell by looking at the email, whether or not yay or nay. And that's honestly a bigger deciding factor rather than, have you given me a Steam key? Are you offering me money? Type of thing. It's just knowing whether or not that game's going to be a good fit for my channel.
He's right. I once uploaded a video with Dwarf Fortress, and it doesn't work.
No.
It just doesn't work.
People
Second, I almost destroyed one of our YouTube channels by getting the guy interested in space engineers. And it's a great game.
It is.
People just
Great
hate it out there, I don't know. It's he loved Minecraft, and Space Engineers was like he was like, wow, this is so cool. And but people just didn't take to it, And that's a very important point that I would like to stress to you guys when you talk to these people here. That is that they're used to what I call data-driven applause. Because they're very data-driven, This guy's watching his videos all the time, seeing what works, what doesn't work, when does people jump off, how does the audience retention look, and he compares his videos to the other guy's videos, and so if stuff doesn't work, you're out immediately, and that's the downside, I think you succeeded because you have a good game, basically. And I guess we can stop now and just walk.
That's fine. Okay, don't mind that. I don't know if I don't want to jump into one of your questions later. I'm not sure if that's in there.
Go ahead.
What I found, the guys who did the best jobs for us were the small and the medium-sized YouTubers and streamers. Excuse me. Simply because they were better at playing the game. It tended to be the bigger the guys were, the more they sucked playing Everspace because it's very hard. It's 3D space. It's roguelike. It's not easy. And the best guys had less than 1,000 followers. And when they had a great video up, I used that to show off our game. So I used it on our Twitter channel, say, hey, if you don't know what Everspace is all about, check this guy out. He made an awesome Let's Play. This is all you need to know. And it's not from us. So it's authentic. It's even actually more valuable than our gameplay trailers. Because I could use that, and I still, every time we have a Facebook post and we sponsor that, people ask about, is this like freelancers, Star Citizen? And we're like, no, of course not. Maybe you go to Obsidian End. He has 200,000 followers, and he's awesome, covering all the space games. So you see all our competitors, but I don't see them as a competitor. It's a peer group.
He's mainly Elite Dangerous.
Yes. Which is cool, because then people think Elite Dangerous is not fast.
He really loves Everspace.
He does.
Keeps putting out videos.
I know. He's fantastic. And he's one of our early backers. And so it's playing back the favor. So he does create this great content in that case. And we help to get him more people see it, because that's good for us, but it's also good for him. So this is the relationship that you build. And sometimes my partner asks me, my business partner, so seriously, you're hanging 5 hours straight on this stream and watching this guy on the chat? I'm like, yeah, I can't tell you if this is really worth it by measuring, but it's a good feeling, and it goes back to the community. And then if somebody is really good and he's really entertaining, so we have one guy called Void Fox, he's Canadian, 1,000 followers. He's awesome playing Everspace, and he's so entertaining. And I was like, you know what? Why don't we do a giveaway? I give you 5 keys, and then we put up some goals. Like if we hit 50 retweets, which is not much, or we have 50 concurrent views, which is very little.
Right.
But it's the excitement is there, and then the tweet goes, hey, 3 keys for Everspace, and it gets retweeted. This is what you do. I cannot put a number to this, but you have people out there who love the game, and you share this passion, and that, I think, that tickles down to the community, and it gives an overall sense of there's a positive momentum about a game. I think this is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Working with you guys.
Absolutely.
And not so much how many copies would I sell, because actually you sell many copies if you have a great Steam page, if you have a great rating on Steam. This is it. But to get the word out, to get your evangelists, whatever you want to call it, this is the right thing.
I also want to say, if you have to choose between streaming and YouTube, go with the YouTube. Because of this, you get all the search engine value from that, and streaming is very much a hardcore gamers thing, first of all, and second of all, you don't get the search engine stuff.
That's why it's depending on the audience as well. Like, for example, our games, if I take Smite, is also really cool for the hardcore audience. It's going to be a game very in depth, where you have you need to know what items to buy, what strategy to do, and all those kind of things also appeal to Twitch a lot. But more importantly, I think there is a message that is really cool here. It's like everything is about your community, and the first location where you find the influencers, as you call them, or the content creators, or whatever, is within your community. Identify the guys that are already in your games. Identify the guys that are already working on content that is going to help. And as you said, search engine is everything in a way. So YouTube is great for that. They're going to say, for example, on Smite, how do I build this gun? What do I do? And then there's this direct feedback, and that's what you want to create first. And it's more about the experience about your users, about the retention, about all those kind of things, than user acquisition. Well, I think we're going to talk about that later, but identify them and then create processes that can help them. It's about them. It's not about you. It's about what are they going to gain from covering or from working for your games. One of the few examples, last year we did Gamescom. We had a party there, and we made sure that all the German content creators were invited, and that they could meet their fans, they could interact with them, they could meet the devs, they could meet everyone. And so make sure that you have processes, that you have a list, that you have everything in place to involve them in every step, which is development milestones, which is in real world event, which is anything, any activity that you do, any program, they are involved in that.
I'm not sure if Michael, you wanted to react to that still, or okay. So we jumped ahead in many questions already. Alex, you already talked somehow about also selecting the right influencers. Can you give a few examples of how you find the influencers that you specifically want to work with one of your games?
Wow, that depends on the goal. You have to identify first what do you want to do with the special action that you're going to do. Like, do you want to bring more users in the game? Do you want to establish process to create content overall? So, for example, one of the great things is going to be to identify your audience first, the content creators that are speaking directly with audience. For example, if I'm doing a campaign for a free-to-play game that is going to be competitive, that is going to be multiplayer, I'm not going to try to pitch the game to someone that is in story-driven, very console-focused, for example, when we have also an audience on PC and all those kind of things. So segment, create personas of your players, and then look at who is playing your game, who is and who. What content creators is watched by the type of players that you're targeting, I guess. That's mainly the thing. Okay.
So, Michael, you said that what indie developers have is time, most of the time, compared to money. Still, I think that there's a pool of influencers out there of hundreds of thousands of influencers, and you need to make a selection before you approach them. You need to somehow nail it down to the ones that are the most relevant to you. Because otherwise it's just going to be a lot of negative responses, or if you do it in an automized way, you would just won't have a very good success rate. That's actually a question for Jud. In general, what are the games that you refuse, and on what base do you refuse the games?
I refuse to do match 3 games on my channel. No. Again, I think if it's anything that doesn't directly relate to the type of content that I put on my channel. So if my elevator speech with my channel is, I do sandbox survival games. So if I can punch a tree or pick up a rock and make something out of it, that's what I'll play. I'll do very quirky indie games. Doesn't matter how small the studio is. If it's something that's unique and they're thinking outside of the box, and again, if it has that presentation that I feel will have that kind of YouTube friendly, friendly vibe to it, then I'll pick those. But to go back to, the other topics to kind of bridge onto that, there's a YouTuber for everybody. I mean, I say I'll never do a match 3 game. I guarantee you there's YouTubers out there. They're doing nothing but match 3, and they've got an audience and they're passionate about it. I think the easiest way to find those people, at least on YouTube, I always do when I do what I call a hermit's look, which is like, a one-off or a couple episodes on a new game. I usually will compare it to 1 or 2 other games that I've played already. So here's this new game. It's like this meets this had a baby. And I think you can use that same approach on finding the content creators who would be a good match for your channel. Here's this new game. You're very proud of it. No one wants to compare their game to another game, but go ahead and do it. Do a search on that on YouTube, and you'll see who the content creators are that are making those games. And I think don't go based on sub numbers, because YouTube has changed their algorithms so much in the past couple of years that they're really trying to bring the content creators that are engaging the most with their audience to the top. And so you'll see now, 2015, if you did a search on a game, it was all the people who had 1 million plus subs. And now you do that same type of search, and there's people with 20,000 subs, which in the whole scheme of things is very small. But those are going to have the most passion about what they're doing. They usually have picked out a niche, like you guys have said. Their audience, even though they're smaller, they're very dedicated to that niche of gaming. And I feel like you'll get much more bang for your buck, or bang for no buck in some cases, by reaching out to those content creators.
Okay.
I'd like to add, you actually have to put some people down. In particular, if you do a Kickstarter campaign, and if a regular user paid, I don't know, $40 upfront for an unfinished game, trusting you're going to finish it. Imagine how that person would feel if you give a key to somebody who is a YouTuber with like 10 followers, like a free copy. So, I mean, you could do this with your friends. Hey, I'm a YouTuber. I got 10 followers. Give me a key. So we do answer all these requests. And then we say, well, we are kind of restrictive handing out keys because of the situation with the backers and everything. And also because some of the YouTubers actually paid for that key. So some of the guys who paid $50 to have the alpha access, and now you asking me, having less subs or similar, and say, I want to have a free key. And said, no, you don't get that. You can buy it. Mm-hmm. So some people might get upset about this, but on the other hand, you just value and appreciate what you have with the previous partners, so to speak. And if they put money up front because they want to have access to this new content and they think it's promising, it's a partnership. And one more thing is, like, one of our streamers, he had 150, less than 100 followers when I joined the stream, when he played the first time Everspace a year ago, the alpha. Actually, we hired him to be at roadshows and show the game because he's darn awesome. And he's 20 years younger than I am, so he can just stand in front of the workstation without fainting after 5 hours or something. No, he's really passionate. He's awesome. He knows more about the game than I do. And he's much better about it, so I can concentrate on business stuff. And he's a great help. And for him, it's cool too. He's a game designer, so it's not his real profession, being a streamer. And another guy is now our top community manager. Another word I hate, because it's like, you're not managing a community. It's bullshit. You're there. You're whatever.
Banning people.
Yeah, exactly. Shoveling around people. So you might find awesome people to add to your team by working with these smaller guys in terms of subs or girls. So there are a lot of things that how you can look at this here, and it's really understanding. So who brings what kind of value to the table? So what's the kind of deal that you're making there?
You had a very interesting point, because that's something you learn when you deal with a lot of different video makers, is that they come from all walks of life. And your approach, I'm trying to look mainstream here and professional, so
you're doing well.
But all that professional talk and stuff, it doesn't resonate with all of them, because they don't really know where you're coming from. They don't have your background, and everybody, all walks of life, basically YouTube is this many-headed snake, and you really have to take care of that, or kind of, it goes for all kinds of communication, really, but just remember it like extra when we deal with these people who are used to sitting at home. 99% of the time they're sitting at home in front of the monitor. It's a very lonely life being
in
a
their
YouTuber.
jogging pants. Yep.
It's a very lonely life, so it's something you need to take care of or kind of keep in mind when you talk to them.
Yeah, which is why they freak out if you have like 5 people on the stream and say, "Hey, the devs are here."
Oh,
They're like,
yeah.
what?
Oh,
The sixth viewer is one of the devs. Said, "Yeah, any questions? What do you know? What do you want to know?"
So you started already talking about the daily life of an influencer as well. Jud, could you maybe elaborate a bit how your day-to-day activity looks like?
Yeah. So I wake up right around 8 o'clock every morning. iPad right by my side. I start checking comments and emails and whatnot. Quick breakfast, make my quadruple shot espresso drink every morning, and then I start recording. And that doesn't stop until the sun goes down. Basically, I'm definitely 7 days a week. I put out 2 videos a day, and that equates to roughly minimum 12 hours a day. So yeah, it's not a lazy man's job for sure.
Intense.
Yes.
So we've talked about discovering or finding the right influencers. You, Martin, you're also looking into influencers to grow their channels, and there's a potential for talent management as well. How do you identify the influencers that you want to work with, and what do you look for?
Well, we get a lot of requests for people who want to join us. And we usually take people in, if they have a certain size, we take them in for a cup of coffee and then we meet them. And our credentials are very varied. It goes all the way from what kind of family background do they have, if they're young, do they have supporting parents, are they reasonable people, we need to be able to work with them, and also, of course, stuff like how long have you been doing this, how many videos have you put out, do you have the grit and the discipline to do this in the long haul, because as Jud is saying, it's really hardcore, and when you look at our guys, they usually start at 16, 17 years old, and you have this 17-year-old guy, who's making 3 videos a week, maybe, spending 30, 40 hours a week doing this at 17. I didn't do anything that long when I was, or that much, maybe one thing, but I didn't do, when I was 17, yeah. So you're looking for a certain kind of person, who has the discipline and the grit to keep going for years, basically. And all YouTube channels grow organically. There's no viral effect there. They just grow. They start out with 1 viewer, their mom, and then they kind of go from there. And it's very slow going, and very hardcore, and no viral effect, no easy wins. And so it's a very special kind of person we're looking for when we recruit channels.
Okay. Let's go to the next topic, communicating with influencers. We touched on this already with what do you need to put in the email. Alex, I know you also work with agencies, but you did contact influencers yourselves as well in the past. What do you try to put in the first contact when you don't know someone to convince them to play your game?
So I think, as he said, assets. It's like you have a long email or you have a short email, doesn't matter, assets. The more assets, the better. You need artworks, you need trailers, you need maybe in-game footage, but you need to show your game, and you need to show your art style, you need to show the interaction that you can find in your game. You need to convince people that it's the right game also. In my email, that's why or in my communication, that's why it's kind of easy and straightforward, is because the targeting is already done in a way, so it's people that are playing the same kind of game. So I'm always trying to explain why our game is resonating with the audience. Find that hook, and then that's easy. Just put that in your email, go straightforward, put a lot of assets. Doesn't really matter in that way, and also know what you want out of that deal or out of that communication. Is that do you want to work with them on the long run? Are you targeting someone that is doing only reviews? Then that's one video that you would like to collaborate with them. So that really depends on that. But mainly assets, to be honest. And then after that, the communication and the day-to-day, I would say, talent management, because In our office, we are communicating with at least 5 to 10 very big influencers, very big content creators. Don't know what word to employ here, but on a daily basis in each countries. And we try to also communicate with them all the patches, all the changes we make in our game. Also, maybe include them in your PR stories. Do you have a hook? Do you have a story here? Are you making something that is really special? You think you have a different angle than everyone? Include them in PR communications. That's one of the things that worked very well for us. We made a very special mode on Smite where you could drive a cart. And you had the gods into the cart, so that was completely different than the MOBA and the serious aspect that we can have. And so we were telling that story. We were telling that story where we are an evolving game, and that's exactly what we are. So be genuine, target exactly what do you want, what is the outcome, and also what is their audience, what's in it for them.
It's true what Michael said. You should start at the bottom. Start with the small ones, the medium-sized ones, because a free Steam key can go a long way with those guys. You know?
Absolutely.
But once you hit 1 million subscribers and you start getting big, then the game changes.
Steam key doesn't cut
and
it
also
anymore.
they become a lot more a lot more conscious about the kind of content they want to make. And often they personally fill the channels more,
Yeah.
So they become more entertainers than gamers,
Yeah.
And once that transition happens, then you have to start paying for it.
Yeah, we had a different currency since it was a Kickstarter. When we had somebody really covering our game very nicely and playing it great. So thumbs up, you're awesome playing Everspace, but we also promote you to a higher pledge tier, which means like your name is going to be in the game, and we name a spaceship after you, the MSS, whatever.
Very good. Very
yeah.
cool.
So and this, we had that with the Bad News Games group. They cover Star Citizen, and they pledged on I think 500 euros tier, and you could name a corporation in the game. And now the Bad News Gunnery makes a certain amount of weapons. And so we had a back and forth, so what the name could be, that of course it makes sense to the lore. And then one of the streamers, we didn't tell them at what point this is in the game. So they were streaming it, and he was like, oh, I want to have this new beam laser. What? This is bad news. Whoa, we're in the game. Awesome. And then it went on. So I think those little things, we're like, hang on, we got a little thingy here for you. I mean, it doesn't cost us much, but it really made sense. It had to fit the game, of course, the lore and everything. But those are the things that they really love. And then even you get the higher guys. If you don't have to check, maybe sooner or later we might have to can write you a check. Say
Frontier did the same with your friend Obsidian Ant.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, in general, the PewDiePie games, the 2 PewDiePie mobile games that were published, also show the value of including influencers, big influencers in your game as well. And also in terms of contacting the influencers, there was this one company that was doing a card game and was doing customized cards for every individual influencers, where they would actually send them in the first email how the card would look like with the face of the influencer and with the statistics of the influencer.
Perfect.
Very personalized. Cool. So this is the kind of stuff you need to be creative in order to get the influencers to notice you and to find yourself cool. In the end, it's people that are gamers and they want to be involved in the gaming industry as well, even if, of course, the entertainment aspect starts growing when they grow. But including them somehow in the actual product itself is something very rewarding, I think. Jud, what is the weirdest request you've ever gotten on your email?
Oh my god, I could write a book on all the weird stuff. The weirdest one I think I've ever gotten was not even gaming related. It had to have been a spray and pray email blast that went out. It was for mermaid blankets. Do you guys, who knows what a mermaid blanket is? Anybody? That guy, you've got one at home. I know you do. So a mermaid blanket is like just a blanket when you're laying on the couch, except I think it's like a mix between a blanket and a Snuggie. So you put your legs in it, and it gives you a mermaid tail. Weirdest thing ever. I was like, no, that's fine. No.
We want to see pictures.
You'll never see them.
What about you, Martin, on the agency side? Did you have any clients that wanted to do something especially weird?
We've had a couple of bad products, that we worked with, and we had one application. It was a kind of a children's toy. I'm not going to name names here, but they had an app. It kind of worked with an app that was on Android and iPhone both, and we for some reason only got around to testing the iPhone app, right? Mm-hmm. And all these guys work with Android and PC, of course, So nobody. And the Android app really sucked, really. So once they started doing videos, they discovered that the app just didn't work very well, and they got really irritated, And that kind of transpired in the videos, So just don't. I mean, making people work with a bad product is very, very damaging, both for yourself, for your product, and for the channels you work with. It's just like the worst of all worlds, basically, that meets, because the YouTube guys, risk destroying their reputation, and your product is. So what I'm saying basically is don't give them products in the hand before they're kind of ready, That's what you said. No alpha, maybe, but you really need to feel confident that your game is in a decent state before you give it out to those guys. Because it can hurt both of you really hard.
Don't turn left after this asteroid. No, you don't want to see like,
don't turn left.
There's no universe anymore.
Content creation is not at all like any advertising. It's not advertising. You can't just think, okay, I'm going to give a key, it's going to do a review, a video, and that's not going to hurt my product. As you said, it's really damaging. You have to get your product in shape and polish the most of it before you give it to influencers or.
In that case, it's like working with nitrogen, or a nitroglycerin, because it's really, really powerful, but it's also very volatile, and you can really hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Unless, like you guys have said earlier, if you try to form that partnership, because I've played games that are in not a ready for mainstream state, but they've got that quirk to it. There's something about it that's really interesting, and to have that relationship with a developer or a publisher to give the feedback to say, hey, listen, I created a shovel and it crashed my game, and but that's okay, because if you get it in the hands of a right content creator, like we know how to, and our audience also is used to early access games that aren't quite polished. You tend to focus not on the little bugs. Some of those bugs end up being really, really fun and then end up being features in the game.
That's only if you love this thing, kind of from the outset.
Yeah,
right.
And that's you have to have the passion. You have to really have a thing for that particular game. And so I agree in general.
Yeah. But there are exceptions, totally. No, definitely, like you can also make buzz, right? Like it happens before that, as you said, you discover a bug, a big content creator is discovering a bug, and then what you know after, everyone is downloading it to just try it because that's fun. So yeah, that can happen. But let's say, in general, it's better to just release a polished product.
But this is with every bug that you have in a game that's found outside, and it's almost so effective, turning this flaw into a positive thing, and then whoever found out about this feels super important, and actually he or she is, that you actually should, to a certain degree, or could think about, we're putting bugs out there and see who finds it and fix it, because this is a positive.
Yep.
The best feedback that we got from YouTubers and streamers, as well as our fans, was like on things they missed, or they didn't like, or they even hated. And even if you didn't put it in, like, can you land on planets? And I'm like, oh, not again, please. This is an entirely different game. Or can you land on 16 quadrillion planets? And we're like, oh, no, that's not. How about multiplayer? No, in a small team, this is not going to happen. Doesn't fit a roguelike, story-driven, so. But it got to be in there. No, it doesn't make sense because. And you come up with a good explanation. They love you for that simply because you take the time to take them seriously and answer the question. And maybe they have a good idea. It's worth putting in the game. And then, for them, you're the fucking hero. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Okay, we have 2 minutes left. Let's go to the topic number 3, success factors of influencer marketing. I know that Alex specifically is a very data-driven guy as well and tracks a lot of data about the influencers that he works with. Do you want to share a bit of what you look at after a video is published that you work with, or that the influencer you work with?
So obviously that's a question when you are more into user acquisitions-based campaign. That's more like it. We are not talking about then more of the PR style and the earned channel approach. Well, like when you are on a campaign level where we have some budget, we need to track and see if there is a return. So obviously, we're going to track what's the performance in terms of conversion, what's the performance in terms of retention, of monetization, if you are free to play, or just sales, if you are obviously like a game where you can buy it. Then many things, awareness, that's going to be tracking the views, that's all the watch time, all those kind of things are important to monitor how many people have watched your game and how long did they watch it. So yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's really getting into the data side. So you have, therefore, the needs to build an infrastructure that show that you're capable of tracking those data. But yeah, pretty much it.
Okay. Anybody want to add something on the success factor before we have to?
You need to agree on the success criteria before you start. That's
Definitely.
very important. We've done plenty of projects where people were like, afterwards it was like, the comments were kind of, and did we really? One thing is views, as you said, but agree on what the KPIs are before you actually start. That's just really basic business, but
managing expectations is the basic of it. It's
Exactly.
like if your expectations are on the install side, or if it is in the quality of the traffic that you have, it's going to be really, really different.
And
Time's up, guys.
I'd like to add streamers and YouTubers are actually streamers are even better. It's the best QA in the world.
Yep.
Because nobody plays. No, actually, seriously,
true.
nobody had played more games, most likely within your peer group. And then you sit there watching them. No, this is not the way it is meant to be. You should have not. Because that shows you your game is not good there. And for sure, without those certain number of people who streamed Everspace, it wouldn't be as good as it is today without those guys streaming it and the whole team watching. Back to work and taking notes.
Okay, thanks guys. If you have any questions, approach everyone directly after the talk.